Dartmouth. Now, this issue has been it's sort of been brought up because of NIL deals. Like that's sort of been like the main issue. So now we're seeing the bad side of what NIL deals could bring to colleges and organizations. So I'm just going to read exactly what happened. This came from ESPN. The Dartmouth men's basketball team voted 13-2 on Tuesday to join its local service employees union. And this marks the first time any group of college athletes has taken a public action as employees of their school and potentially sets a precedent that could significantly alter the business of college sports. Tuesday's vote was the players' first official action as employees and the next step toward bargaining with the school. And the players say that they hope other Ivy League teams will follow suit to create a conference-wide collective bargaining unit. And the university filed its appeal of the regional director's decision on Tuesday afternoon. The school could potentially continue fighting the idea that athletes are employees up through the Supreme Court, and this is a process that could take years to complete. So right now this is seeing as now we're getting onto like I said earlier, now we're getting onto the bad side of these name, image, and likeness deals, because now, I mean, I knew that was coming. Once you start giving the college athletes money, they start becoming like entitled. And they want the same money that like all of these other players are making with NIL deals. And it begs the question, are these players employees or are they students? Now, the university had some things to say. The university said, this was Dartmouth College's statement concerning the players being classified as employees. For Ivy League students who are varsity athletes, academics are of primary importance, and athletic pursuit is part of the educational experience. Classifying these students as employees simply because they play basketball is as unprecedented as it is inaccurate. So since they're in the Ivy League, these varsity athletes, they do not get scholarship funds. And so they want some sort of way of getting paid. They want some way of getting paid because they view themselves as employees. However, the problem that I have with this is that they are an Ivy League school. And the students that come out of the Ivy League school, they're sort of like, it's expected that like academics is the most important thing coming out of an Ivy League school. So with that in mind, I think that this move by the team is just as unprecedented as the Ivy League school says. Because again, like you got accepted into this college that only accepts like the smartest of the smartest students that you could possibly imagine. It's an Ivy League school. It's what they're known for. I know that's not the reason why it's called Ivy League, but that's essentially what they're known for. Like, they're known for their academics, and they're known for their academic prowess and how the students study and all of that kind of thing. So, I mean, on one hand, it does make a little bit of sense because, like, Ivy League players, they don't get scholarships. So a lot of the media sort of, like, agrees with this because it's like they feel it's a bit unfair for these players to be playing their hearts out in all of these games, and they're not making a single penny for it. And I get that standpoint because, like, playing a varsity sport is not an easy thing to do. It's really not. And a lot of people, like, they like to joke saying, like, I could get into the NBA easily. I could score a point with how bad the defense is. No, you can't. No, you cannot. You cannot score on these players, let alone score on an Ivy League team. And that's just how competitive, like, the game is. And that's, like, again, like, when it comes from an Ivy League school, however, I don't really see it going far because, again, you are in that school to succeed academically. The fact that you're also a varsity athlete is just a plus because the students, like it or not, you need exercise as well. And that's sort of like that's the best form of exercise that you could get as a student, being a varsity athlete in college or joining clubs or going to the gym, whatever it is. But, like, competing, like, that's where the fun is. And I totally understand that. And with these players like trying like becoming this entitled, I wouldn't, yeah, this entitled to wanting to get money, it really just shows like how greedy all of these students are, because now they're not even like trying to go to college to like to make to do something educationally. Now they're trying to get into colleges to like make money off of them, or make money off of the NIL deals that they make. And we've seen this like happening with NCAA now. It's part of the reason why Saban decided to retire from like and stop coaching Alabama football, because a lot of the prospects that they got, they're thinking of transferring, and the first step, like the first question that they ask before they transfer is, how much are you going to pay me so I don't transfer? And that's a problem in my eyes, because you are going to this school and so many people would love and would kill to go to schools like this for their educational purposes, like specifically Ivy League schools. I know I talked about Alabama, and even then, a lot of people want to get accepted into Alabama, and they just don't. And these college students are just taking advantage, these college athletes are just taking advantage of these NIL deals and like throwing the college out like it's some box of chocolate. And I don't agree with that whatsoever, because there are less fortunate people out there who would love to be in the position that they're in. Like, when I was in middle school, my principal actually told me this story. There was a basketball player for the middle school team, and he was a really good player. But the only reason why he decided to pursue basketball was so that way he can get into a good college and get into a good high school as well. That was the main reason. He did not care about playing the game long term. All he wanted to do was get into high school so that way his parents didn't have to pay a single penny. And he ended up doing that. He ended up making it to high school and playing for the team, but he was much more focused academically, because that was the reason why he wanted to get into that school. But it's just he couldn't get into that school given how his grades were at the time. And the only way to really do that was to play basketball. And now seeing that teams are just like abusing these NIL deals, it leaves a bad taste in my mouth. I really do not like it whatsoever. And another thing that I don't like is that they're asking to be paid when they aren't even that good of a team. Like, the team is has a record of 6-21. There's a lot more that team needs to work, that team needs to focus on, rather than getting paid. Before they get paid, they should actually try to get good, and so that way they could actually have like a legitimate argument. Because if this goes to the Supreme Court and they take into account the fact that the program and like the players, they aren't the best team, that might hinder some of like the voting, because it's like, why would we pay these college athletes if they aren't good? Like, that's the reason why a lot of these college athletes are making the money that they're making. We see Caitlin Clark. She's making a lot of money off of NIL deals, but that's because she is so good at basketball. And you can't expect every single college team and every single college player to make that money. And they might not be asking to like make that money. They might be asking for compensation, but they go to an Ivy League school. Chances are they're going to get a job that pays them phenomenally because of how smart that they are. And I don't want to generalize like and say that every single one of those people is smart at the school, but 9 times out of 10, yes, if you get into that school, you are an academic weapon. And it really seems abusive to me. Like, it really is just an abuse of power, and it's something that I think it needs to be stopped? Like, do I think NIL deals should stop completely after this? No, I do not think that, because while I might disagree with this move coming in from Dartmouth, I do not disagree with the fact that I think some of these players deserve to get paid. And keyword, some of these players. Because, like I mentioned Caitlin Clark earlier, she deserves to get paid because she brings audiences to watch women's college basketball. The views have gone up tremendously. Women's basketball has actually, on average, has a higher viewership now than men's basketball. Like, that might change, like, coming March Madness, because everybody watches March Madness and, like, the men's teams. But still, the fact that the women's basketball in the NCAA is getting more views on average than men's basketball, it definitely says something about Caitlin Clark and about Angel Reese and about, like, all of those other women college athletes. And they should definitely, without a doubt, be getting paid. 100%. But athletes like this from Dartmouth, I don't agree with them getting paid whatsoever, because they are going to that school to be academic weapons. They aren't going to that school to make the NBA. No player from an Ivy League team is going to make the NBA. It's just that simple, and that's just how it goes. So with that in mind, I think Dartmouth, like, I don't see Dartmouth winning this case whatsoever. If they do win this case, then all power to them. But I really think it's a bad move, like, if they end up winning this case. But with that, we are out of time for the actually, no, we still have a little bit of time. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Are these guys athletes or are they employees? In my personal opinion, it depends on, like, who you're talking to. It depends on who the athlete that you're referring to is, because, like I mentioned earlier, it also has to, like, be determined, like, who draws in a lot of people and who draws in a lot of money. And the players that I just mentioned, they draw in a lot of money. But Dartmouth, not so much. But with that, now we are out of time with this second segment, so I'm going to go ahead and go into the third segment, where we give a quick recap of all of the NBA games that happened last night. So stay tuned after this short break.